Long distance relationships, how do you keep them healthy and happy? And how do you know if they're going right for you? I'm here with Erica Capon from the Open Photo Project, and I'm Kathy Martelly from the IntimacyDojo.com. And thanks for being here, Erica.
Yes, to talk about long distance relationship.
Yeah, I've had a few. I imagine you've had a few, and I know you've talked to a lot of people that have had them as part of the Open Photo Project.
Yes, absolutely. I haven't had very many, but I have long distance reading now, and so it's definitely brought up a lot of interesting things. But I think we're in the right day and age for it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I still remember.
And you don't even live in the same coast, so
yeah. When I was my first one, I was in New York, upstate New York, and she was in Philadelphia, and going to school. We're both going to school, and our phone bills were an astronomical because it was back in the day when you paid by the minute, and it was long distance, and our ears would hurt because we'd be talking on the phone so much.
Aww.
So yeah, now it's a lot easier now.
Yeah, gosh, it's amazing how much it's changed, but technology can really help. One of the people who I've photographed for the Open Photo Project, Rose, she told me about her partner in North Carolina, and we were talking about, because Rose has young children, and she was saying how every, whatever night it was, Tuesday or Friday, she goes and she has a Skype date with her North Carolina partner, and she always goes and goes, okay, I'm going to go close the door. And then you can say, oh, are you going on a so-and-so date? And she says, yes. So it's like a part of her family's traditions now. Her kids know, they've had a relationship for years. And, of course, it's also great to be able to visit and see each other in person. But if for some reason you can't, at least have technology.
Yeah, no, it is harder if you can't see. Like, it's nice to be able to see. I mean, touch is, I'm a very touch, and knowing what the person's love languages are can really help. But since I love touch, if you're not face to face, it's a lot harder to have that. But it's really wonderful that you can find people to love all over the world now versus, 200 years ago, your town of 330 people, you had to find someone to marry there. That was not a lot of choice.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a big benefit of our day and age.
Yeah.
And, I think one thing that people have spoken about is the financial limitations, when it comes to long distance relationships. Some people are privileged in that they can take time off from work, or maybe that their work gets them traveling.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that access to funds or time, and that can definitely make it harder to maintain long distance relationships. But I think if you're open to, some degree of distance and separation and talking and, trying to figure out ways to make it work, apps are your friend.
Yeah, you were talking about Marco Polo earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So my sweetheart in the West Coast tipped me to Marco Polo, which is this app that it's basically like video chat, but you can leave each other video messages. So you can, it's instead of live talking how we are, I'll leave a very long message and tell you about my day, and then you could either watch as I'm leaving it or watch, later if you're busy doing something else. And it's just like a really kind of fun, easy way to keep in touch with people. So if they're not available at the exact same time you are, you can still talk, you can see each other's faces, and then really respond in depth to what they're saying when you're ready.
Yeah, it's a nice touch to be able to see the face and just was just thinking of you and wanted to send you some love or something. Like, there's a way to have a little more connection and intimacy in a relationship when you're not as near each other.
And you can show where you are. Maybe you can say like, hey, this is my work, look, here's my home. Rather than texting pictures, it's almost like you're
inviting them in.
Truly there, yeah. So Marco Polo has been a really fun app. I know there's a number of apps that do basically the same thing, but that one works really well for me.
How do you balance obviously people that are in love like to spend time with each other, but it's also a lot to travel across the country to see each other. How do you balance the desire to see each other versus the practical, like, hey, I've got to show up at work and I've got to pay my bills kind of thing?
it's a challenge. I mean, it's not necessarily always the perfect situation, you know. I mean, for me, I am lucky because I also have family in different areas, and sometimes I'm able to book work or photography work in different areas. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, if there's somebody who I really want to see, it's like we might try to coordinate. Are you going to be able to be in this area at this time? Because maybe I could get at least the cost of the trip covered if I take this
Nice.
job and things like that. Um, you know, and then it's also really interesting. Some relationships I think work really differently when you're speaking mostly on the phone or an app, and then when you see them in person, and just the flow of things really feels different.
Mm-hmm.
And the type of, you know, I don't think that it's necessarily even like a lesser relationship if you have less time. It can be like the person that you process a lot of things with and share a lot of things with about your daily life, but you're not necessarily saying like, oh, okay, well, I got to go grocery shopping. I got to make dinner. You know, it's just a very different type of connection that can come out of it when you have that limitation.
Yeah, I think there's a certain focus if you're only, at least for me, when I'm only seeing someone every once in a while, it's like I'm going to reserve the time we're together. It's going to be very focused and intense, and
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to go grocery shopping with them. I'd rather, spend the time connecting in a different way.
And even though you have less time, you might have really, really made that time as special as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like you go on a little vacation with them, even if it's just them visiting you in your home for a day or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any thoughts about what people might want to avoid when they're in long distance relationships?
Hmm. I mean, you know, I don't have a huge amount of experience with this, but you know, I think my advice is always just to stay open, stay in communication. I think I've heard, you know, like sometimes challenges around like you must text me at this exact
Oh,
time
yeah.
every night before bed, or like, but that's just for me. Like, I don't know, sometimes I might go to bed really late or I might forget, and for me that doesn't mean that it's, you know,
You care less.
I care less, but for somebody else that might be really important, and no shame on them. So just communicating about those things with your person. What
Yeah.
about you? Have you had experiences you would advise against?
I think one of the things we did was we were both during finals, we didn't see each other for a bit longer, and it was like there was a strain on the relationship because we had been seeing each other, at least once a month. It was drivable at that time. But, during finals and Christmas, and she went back to her family and I went back to see my family, it was longer, and so it was kind of awkward, and I think we both felt kind of hungry, like there was like, that was a long time.
Yeah.
And
And
just,
then your connection maybe doesn't feel as nourished. Or
yeah, it just took a little while. It took longer for us to kind of get in the flow and really feel connected. And I think just like with any relationship, having really clear communication, like, this is what I'd like. Okay, you can't meet that. That's fine. Like, you're not a yes to that. That's okay. You can have boundaries, but here, relationships should meet some of our needs at least, and they should help everyone in the relationship feel more empowered and alive, I think, and happy. And if they're not doing that for you, then why are you holding on? What is it that you want to get out of it? And just having really clear communication, having some of the needs met through the relationship, and leaving you a stronger and better person.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of good sense in like a face-to-face or a long distance. Really touching.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being here, Erica. If any of you have any questions or thoughts, we'd love to hear them. Please leave them below.
Hello.